Good afternoon, everybody. Happy Thursday. It's Jeff. It's Thursday lunchtime. Nearly Friday. Hope you're all doing well out there. Hope you're still staying safe and staying home. Sorry, I'm just adjusting the camera here. It's getting to that point where we're all kind of getting frustrated, I think, a little bit self-conscious of how we're looking. I am in particular. Hey, Paul, it's good to see you, brother. How are you, man? Nice of you to join me. Yeah, it's feeling a little bit strange these days. I can't remember the last time my hair was this long, but I'm just rolling with it. It's starting to bug a little bit, but who cares? So I hope everybody's doing okay. Like I said, staying safe, staying home wherever possible. I know a few places have started to open up, and people are worried about going out and interacting with other people. Just keep safe distance. Social distancing is still a thing, and hopefully you'll be okay. So anyway, thank you for joining me this afternoon. Happy lunchtime for those of you here on the West Coast. Dinner time or night time for you, Adam, out there in Wales. I think that's where you are these days. But anyway, today I wanted to just kind of chat a little bit about what we can do to help calm ourselves, and in particular as we're nervous or possibly even fearful of re-entering society right now, because I think there's a lot of people who are starting to identify with what it is that we're doing, and thinking to themselves, oh gosh, I'm quite anxious, or I'm quite fearful about what's happening in the world, and even though I have to go back to work, or I want to kind of re-enter society, I'm kind of afraid of what might happen. So that anxiety and that fear kind of starts to ratchet up a little bit, and once the fear and anxiety starts to kick in, the brain starts going into overdrive, and we tense up, we stop breathing the way that we normally would if we're calm. So that's kind of where I wanted to start things today. Is we talked about breath on Monday, being one of the physiological characteristics that human beings can manipulate, which can actually change our physiology, change our mood, right? If we slow and deepen our breaths, we can change our mood, and therefore we can calm ourselves, right? By changing the way we breathe. Another thing that we can do is we can ground ourselves, right? There is real energy that we can feel, that we can sense, if we just come in contact with the ground. Put your feet firmly on the ground and just stop and stand. There's a pose in yoga called mountain pose, where we basically just stand straight up with our arms to our sides, feet touching the ground, close the eyes, and just be, right? Just be there with the earth, right? Another thing you can do is lie on the ground, right? So in a nice carpeted location, or if you've got a yoga mat, or if you've got something that you want to, even lying in the grass. Lying in the grass is one of the most awesome things you could do, right? That for grounding. I love to lie in grass, obviously assuming that I don't have hay fever or any allergies, or it's not covered in like bugs and flies or whatever. Lying in the grass is a really great way to ground yourself. But I oftentimes will find myself lying on the floor now, or sitting. I've got a really cool beanbag chair in my bedroom, and I find myself kind of lying in that with my feet firmly on the ground, and just kind of just chilling, right? So that's grounding. Another way of self-calming is through mindfulness, right? So just being mindful of your own self and what you're feeling, right? We talked yesterday about feelings and about emotional intelligence, and that peace, that sort of sense of knowing what we're we're capable of, and being mindful of that in that moment, right? That's another way to kind of calm yourself, right? Just being mindful of your thoughts and what you're thinking, right? Another way of calming the self is by engaging in some sort of activity, your senses, right? Smell something, taste something, drink something, touch something that you want to hold, right? I have a little I've got this little heart-shaped stone, polished stone, which oftentimes, if I'm feeling tense or frustrated or whatever, I'll pick it up and hold it and just keep it in my hands for a few moments and get that sense of knowing that it's okay. This will pass. Another piece that you can do to calm the self is to move, get up, walk around, stretch, do some push-ups. I don't know. Push against something. Go hug a tree. Seriously, these are all really adequate ways of actually calming your senses, calming yourself. And then again, coming back to what I was talking about at the beginning about the breathing, think of a mantra, right? I'll be okay. I am okay. I can do this. These are things that I can do, right? And you just repeat that over and over in your head or even out loud while you're breathing, right? So, I am okay. I am okay. As you breathe in and out, right? You can do those things. And that's one other way of calming the self, right? You can also connect with the energy that other people are giving off, right? So right now, as we're on this call or on this Facebook Live broadcast, I'm hoping that my energy that I'm putting out to the world, the love, the care, the calmness that I sense and that I feel within myself, I'm trying to project that outward, right? And give that back to the world. In a world where there's so much chaos and so much angst and anxiety and fear, I'm trying to deliver something a little bit less than that, calm and relaxed and kind of toned down from the sort of chaos and noise of the world. So it's these are various different ways that we can calm the self, right? Our true self. And there are ways, there are other ways of doing it too. I mean, like I said earlier this week, go take a walk and do what they call a walking meditation. A walking meditation is where you literally just focus on your breath while you're walking, right? So you count your breaths in, or you count to 4 as you breathe in, and then you count the breath out to 7, right? These 4-7 breaths that I talk about. You don't have to do that. You can count to 5 breathing in and out to 5, right? It doesn't matter. It's just really, what you think and feel works best for you as you're, out on a walk or even just sitting in your home. So there are any number of ways that you could conceivably calm yourself in terms of, there's all of these different techniques, right? But really the best one for self-calming is the breath, right? Just breathe, and just breathe deeply, or as deeply as you can in that moment, right? They often say when we're, angry, count to 10, right? When we're upset, count to 10, right? And what we're actually really doing in that moment is breathing, right? And feeling that breath and saying, okay, I'm slowing down what I'm doing by stopping and counting to 10. But you're really actually, what you're doing is you're saying 1, 2, 3, 4. You're really slowing yourself down, and you're calming yourself down, right? That's why they actually advise, and they being the psychologists, psychiatrists, yogis, gurus, everybody. It's like, always count to 10 before you launch into a tirade or explode or whatever, right? And hey, guilty for years and years and years. And my family, my in-laws, my kids, my late wife would attest to the fact that I was probably one of the worst when it came to flying off the handle. Okay, so it takes a lot of work and it takes a lot of practice. Okay, but self-calming, right? Calming yourself, right, is one of these things that we have total control over, right? It comes back to yesterday about our emotional intelligence, right? If we can identify what it is that we, at that moment, sorry, somebody called through and it should have been on Do Not Disturb, but if we can calm ourselves, right, it's one of these things that we can do as part of our emotional intelligence, right? We have this emotional intelligence to identify our emotions as and when they are happening, okay? And once that actually happens and we start to identify those emotions and can read them and can understand them in that moment, that's when we have the opportunity really to develop our sense of self-calming, okay? Because if we can truly identify what it is that our sensation is, we can use the breath, we can ground, we can choose mindfulness by just thinking carefully about what it is that we're sensing, right? We can stop feeling that way by being engaged in some other activity, right? Whether that's moving the body through exercise or grabbing a glass of water or whatever, right? Or it's doing this sort of mantra, I'm okay, I am okay, this will pass, right? These are things that we can do as individuals to to calm ourselves, right? And that's what I generally tend to focus on when I feel upset or anxious or stressed these days. I try my best to do the breathing and the grounding, at least at the very same time, and then I try to identify what it is that I'm sensing and take a step back, right? Take a moment to calm myself, right? And sometimes I'm not successful, right? It still takes practice. It's not it's not an all the time kind of thing. And I know that at times it gets really, really difficult to keep control of yourself, right? And to calm yourself, particularly as anxiety, is a real thing, right? It's a real thing that people feel. I never realized it until I actually started to suffer from it. I kind of always used to say to my kids, just calm down, you just breathe. You don't, why are you anxious? Well, there's no reason to be anxious, right? That's the last thing that somebody who is suffering from anxiety wants to hear, right? There's nothing to be anxious about. Well, tell that to my brain, right? My brain is being anxious. So yeah, a lot of the work that I've done around breathing and grounding and mindfulness has helped me to basically eliminate that anxiety, that sense of fear, that lack of calmness that I have or that I've felt. So it really does change how you approach things if you can calm yourself, right? And this is, this is stuff you can do in the moment, right? It's stuff that, and that, there you go, Lisa, that is an awesome way of doing it. Yeah. You just have to be aggressive. That's what I mean by moving the body, right? Just, running, doing stressful activity, lifting weights, punching a punching bag, right? Even with a baseball bat, because sometimes you don't want to do it with your fists. That is actually a release. But then what it also does is it calms you almost instantaneously once you've actually got it out. So actually, I read something a while back. I'm not sure who it was. It was somebody in one of the widows groups, I believe, who put out a note that she and a friend had started to go, and obviously we can't do that right now because there aren't many garage sales, but she and a friend started to go around to garage sales, and they would buy up all of the plates, right? Because, people sell plates and bowls and things like that, glass, ceramic or whatever. They'd buy them all up, and they'd store them in her garage. And what they also did was they took a sheet and set up a target on the sheet, right? They painted a target, round circles and stuff, and they threw it up every now and again in front of a brick wall. And when they were really angry or really frustrated, the two of them would go and they'd just throw these plates, literally just throw them at the wall, just watch them smash, and of course they'd all land on the sheet or wherever. And, and it was a real release, right? Like Lisa, what you're talking about there about, sometimes you just need to hit a punching bag with a baseball bat. It's the same sort of sensation, right? Smashing something, beating something up, right? As long as it's not a person, preferably. That is a way of releasing tension and frustration. The way that I am sort of pushing the sort of solution, if you want to call it that, and I really don't want to push anything or proselytize or tell people what I think they should do. Do whatever is best for you in the moment. But the reality is that, if we can just literally use our breath and things like grounding, touching the ground, lying on the ground, lying in the grass, if you can, just lying on a carpeted floor or even on a sofa, right? Or on a yoga mat or something, right? Just ground yourself, right? And breathe. And then just try to engage your senses and sense where it is that you're feeling whatever it is that you may be feeling in that moment, right? That's the critical success factor in terms of calming the self without having to go, beat the crap out of a punching bag or smash plates or whatever. But, I posit and I give you that, sometimes we just need to do that. Life can be really frustrating and really, really hard and difficult, and we struggle. As humans, we struggle a lot. And there's a lot of pressure on us to perform, whether that's in our jobs or as parents or as, partners or whatever. And because of that pressure, we often find that we don't really have an outlet that we can truly use to release our frustration, our fears, our anxieties, our whatever it is that we're struggling with, right? So these techniques, the breathing, the grounding, the mindfulness, the engaging of the senses and moving the body, and even doing mantras like I was talking about a few moments ago, or connecting with people like me when you're really up against it. I generally tend to try to bring a calming energy to whatever conversation I'm in, right? So that's really where, these sort of, subtle changes that we can make can help us with our self-calming, right? And that's really kind of where I feel, this week really has been all about, first we talked about breath, and then we talked about gratitude, and yesterday we talked about emotional intelligence, and today we're talking about, self-calming, because these are all really interconnected, as part of a theme, really, about resilience, right? This is all about us being able to build resilience as human beings, and and we do and can build resilience just in basic physiological terms by breathing, right? And by grounding, and by being conscious and present in the moment with our sensations, our feelings, our emotions. And that's really the like you say, Lisa, you want to just let it out, and then you can cry and be human again, right? Well, this is true that you can do that, almost through training yourself to not have to aggressively let it go. You can train yourself to calmly let it go. And I think that's really, it's a noble aim. It's not an easy one to achieve, but it's a noble aim that you can do. Yes, I can agree with you that, aggressively letting go of things is a faster way through it. But then again, I've found that breathing, that changing my breath, is a very quick way to calm myself and to release that aggressiveness that really might have been exhibited in my own sort of acting out, really, if that was the case. So this is a little bit of a shorter one today. I just wanted to kind of talk about a little bit of the sort of techniques that I feel can be valuable and can be implemented almost relatively quickly and easily to calm yourself. So I appreciate everybody being here and participating, and tell friends, tell neighbors, tell everyone. I mean, I'm live on Facebook 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time every weekday until California is done with its shelter-in-place and stay-at-home orders. And we'll be, talking about different things every day, generally a theme for the week. Like this week has been about sort of building resilience, and a lot of the things that I do talk about are about building resilience. It's not just this week, but I do appreciate that, everybody does join me. I value your time and I value your input, and, I just wanted to say thank you very much. Tomorrow is Friday. It's the last day of the week. We've nearly made it through another week. I hope that you have a lovely rest of your Thursday, and if you've not already had the opportunity to, just get outside, get some fresh air, even if it's raining where you are or it's cold where you are. Fresh air is one of the critical things that we need as humans to survive. Don't feel like you have to be stuck in all the time, and whatnot. And I hope you will join me again tomorrow, Friday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time, for the last of this week's talks. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining me. I really appreciate it. Hope to see you soon.